آزادی بیان
言论自由
free speech.
I mean, of course, that's about states and governments. But what about the restrictions imposed by private powers? Our second principle talks about private powers, the Googles and Facebooks and Twitters, and of course Baidus and others. Are you concerned about some of their practices, I mean, not being necessarily specific, and in particular about the problem of privacy?
Well, privacy is part of it. I think that spying is one part of it. Yes, I mentioned that the legislation in Holland, which that was produced because an ISP had broken the rules. So one part of it, one side is filtering, and the other side is spying. In both cases, we have problems with large companies as well as governments. It depends a bit on which country you're in, which one is most worrying. But if you like, the most worrying thing overall is that actually you end up with the two working together.
Indeed.
So you end up with a telecom monopoly, which is a monopoly allowed by government, which has very strong connections with the government, so that when the government wants to disconnect the country from the internet, it actually knows who to go to, and they know how to do it. Or you get a law which makes it required for ISPs to spy and to track internet traffic. And then you end up with this repository of very, very dangerous, potentially damaging information about individuals stored all over the place. And then you have then the government either sort of fairly makes a subpoena for the information, or the intelligence services, rather under the cover, just go and acquire it.
Well, like a FISA Act in the US, of course, which is secret.
So in general, so the combination of government, it tends to end up being a combination of both. And of course, you need a combination of both to fight crime. So defining the line here is really important and has to be done quite carefully, because we do want to give governments the power to fight serious crime. We do want them to be able to find and defeat terrorists before the terrorist acts happen. But on the other hand, if this is done by making ISPs regularly report information about all individuals, then I've described this as dynamite, this information. If you imagine that you've got a machine somewhere in the world which has got all the information about a particular house, and the websites that those people have been to, the communications that the people have had, but even just the websites, just things like the diseases that the people in that house have been worried about and may have looked up, with never mind whether they did for their own behalf or on behalf of somebody else. But you've got all this information which will clearly demonstrate, for example, whether the people in that house are heterosexual or homosexual from the sorts of websites they go to. Then you've got this potentially about people in the military. You've got this information about people in the government. So maybe the government should think first, what happens when somebody hacks into that? And then suddenly the whole nation is at the knees of blackmailers. Then you've got people in responsible positions who could be approached. By the way, we've read your profile. Do you want us to talk about it in the public, or would you like to help us make sure that these particular people get off, that this legislation does not go through? In a way, to have that information around is dynamite. Somebody suggested, it's interesting, that the deep packet inspection equipment, which is used which is quite sophisticated, and is used for actually looking at the traffic to somebody's site and figuring out what's going to somebody's house, and figuring out which websites they're going to. That deep packet inspection is made by the people we think of as developed countries, and so maybe the question is, should that be considered a munition? Should it be controlled? It's at least a good thought experiment. Should it be controlled like a weapon of mass destruction? Because in fact, when it's used by an oppressive regime, it can be used to put thousands of people to immediately expose the web of social graph of people who are opposed to the regime and put them all in jail or kill them.